choice of Morocco was not because I'd made Gladiator there and not because I really love Morocco, but it seemed to be the place that somebody suggested would fulfill all my needs for Mogadishu. Branko said, I know this place that I think might be a good second for Mogadishu. So I said, go, you know.
I told really I will find locations. And I came here, Saleh and Rabat. And I made hundreds of pictures. I was thinking that's the right place to shoot.
When he came back with it, we looked at the photographs and basically said, that'll do, that'll work. We were straight in. Working class district, which, you know, it's people saying, yeah, God, it's pretty rough. You know, when you get used to going in there every day, it's actually rather nice. And the whole community, working class community, were fine, you know. But the position of the town, the little town next to the Atlantic Ocean, was beautiful, you know. It fitted our needs dramatically well.
Without the look, we wouldn't be here. Also, Morocco has had a lot of film companies come in and done a lot of filming, so you have a lot of Moroccan crew that are technically excellent at what they do. They've been trained over the last 20 years by international productions that have come in here and made this industry blossom here in Morocco. So when you come here, there's prop people, there's lighting people, there's camera people you can use, production people you can use. So they're already ready to go. You don't have to bring them in from the States or from other parts of Europe. You're in areas where it's very difficult to shoot. You know, where you're in populated areas and you're making a lot of noise. People aren't really pleased with what you're doing. There's a lot of poverty, unfortunately, in this particular part of Rabat that we're in. So there were people that were upset that we were here.
Considering what we were doing and where we were doing it, which was tricky, with view to people on the streets being accepted there. It was quite a political process that we had to go through, keep everybody happy. We employed a lot of Moroccans who were grateful for that. I think they were just grateful that we were in there and there was something to do on an organized fashion every day.
We originally listed 1,100 that we've wardrobed and they're ready to go. They fall into 3 categories. The core group, which are up front that we train to do stunts and things like that. The front line, which have the better Somali look as close as I could get, and then all the others. So we've wardrobed 1,100 so far. I've actually bought probably over 2,500 outfits to be able to cover the 1,500. Plus, we have a core group of 50 who are playing the militia, and they need to have 4, 5, 6 outfits each. And those 4, 5, 6 outfits have to also be quadrupled for the bullet hits that they might take. So it mounts up. In fact, it could be nearer 3,000, I think. And put your ticket inside. What's this? No! Every day! No bandaged heads, okay? And the biggest task was just getting my head around how much stuff I needed to buy and not being able to go to Somalia and buy the stuff because you can't go there. So I went around ports and to Marrakesh, Casablanca and here and bought similar stuff. Also, I bought a lot of fabrics for the ladies from England, from various shops that sell African clothing, and also went around similar places here that sell old fabrics. And I found loads of fabrics from the late 80s and 70s, actually, that were stuffed in the back of shops. It's been a real kind of lengthy process, actually, choosing each piece.
We'll come in at a 45-degree angle to the set. As we do that, the little birds will be in a trail formation, the Black Hawks will be in a staggered left formation. As we cross the archway, or there, somewhere thereabouts, Star 4-4 will make his left brake to set up where his landing to the rooftop is depicted. The other 3 little birds will land to the street in accordance with the boxes and as depicted there.
It's an enormous crew, and everybody speaks another language, and how they understand each other, I don't understand.
The people from Liberia and Nigeria, they speak English. The people from Ghana speak Creole. The people from Senegal, some English, some Wolof. The tribal languages, of course, which I don't have a clue. Most of them French.
1 minute.
S'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît. On vous mélangez, mettez-vous au milieu, d'accord? Éparpillez-vous au milieu, là. Ne restez pas de...
Bunch of people standing there talking would be great, wouldn't it? This will be before them. Little bird, they run, little bird, land.
And then they're going to land, then he's going to cross the street.
It's been enthralling for me to watch, because if you can imagine a writer alone in his room in front of his keyboard trying to conjure up in his mind images of something that happened years earlier and make it come to life in words. 5 years down the road, you're standing on a rooftop and you're watching literally thousands of people reenact this moment that you had kind of labored to imagine. In a way, it's almost like you willed this vision into reality.
The realism, it seems so true. Talking with the other rangers that were there, it was interesting to watch them on the first day in the insertion, is that they had to stand back a little bit. They got really kind of affected because, obviously it brought up a lot of, different emotions about the event. But they said how realistic that we have it here.
When I walked up to the set today, when I looked around, and I have to say, it was eerie how much that scene looked like Somalia. I literally had to take a step back and kind of scratch my head. It was surreal.
It was my duty as a director to try and bring this as close to documentary credibility and accuracy as possible. That's what I'm there to do. It's not the conventional drama which has backstory, talking about mum, dad, and the brothers and sisters all back home and all that stuff that we've heard all before a million times in every war movie. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to not have that, because I felt it was about the insertion and the exit and what do you feel after that.
The realism, the total realism is what will separate this film from any other. And I really hope it gets out the fact that there is so much realism in this film.
The insertion was actually conducted by the troops that we had on set. The 75th Ranger Regiment provided a platoon of Rangers, all fast road qualified, and they, in fact, conducted the insertion from Black Hawks. It was as close to the real thing as you can get, because it was the real thing.
The Rangers came to conduct all the fast rope scenes that they were going to do in the movie. We wanted to lend as much support as we could to give the movie production as much realism as possible. And we're the only infantry unit that can conduct fast rope operations.
We weren't allowed to fast rope, which is a shame, because we did fast rope in training. Fast rope is when they drop this huge rope out of a helicopter and everybody jumps off and slides down and burns their hands. It was terribly frustrating on the day that we couldn't do it. Of course, it was probably very wise, since the Rangers did it professionally and well, and we would end up like the Keystone Cops.
I mean, why take a chance? When you get the Army Rangers here, there's no need, No need for anything else. You got the best? Come on, if the bike's not broke, don't fix it.
They did it again and again and again and again and again, and it was, I hate to sound like a surfer, but it was awesome.
You know, when you have 8 helicopters in the air at one time, and you have 4 of these huge Blackhawks coming in loaded with U.S. Rangers, and they have to pinpoint where they're going to land and land on these street corners and rope down and the swirling dust and get to their positions. It's an awesome sight to see. I've never seen anything quite like it.
We did 8 insertions over a 2-day period, and we had no injuries on any of those 8 insertions, so it was very successful, I think.
We're really lucky in the way that we've got 8 real Black Hawk helicopters and Little Birds and real helicopter pilots, some of them who were there in the war, and guys certainly on the ground here who were there. So we've got like an incredible support team.
We have Lee Van Arsdale, who's head of the Delta Force that was here in Somalia, Tom Matthews, who was up in the air for 18 hours, who's head of the 160th that was here. Both of these men have been invaluable, not only in helping us get the equipment, but also in working as advisors to our young actors and to our director, Ridley, to show them exactly what happened. We have Harry Humphreys, who's an ex-Navy SEAL, who deals with the actors on how to handle the equipment and the guns and deals with the extras to make them look like they're actually U.S. Rangers.
In the early stages of the production, I realized that one person was not going to be able to do a sufficient job in making sure that all units there were in fact represented properly. I requested a department. I laid out a matrix of individuals, or at least identified individuals that should be there. And most of those folks that I requested, I've gotten as a department. And the result is that we have a team of people that were there that can give us the actual accurate portrayal of what in fact did occur within their own areas.
There's no reason ever to have bones of contention about what would happen, because you asked what did happen.
You know, we're not doing a war film that took place way back in the day where we can't find these people. These guys were actually in it, so we're lucky.
When you meet some of these guys on the set and they tell you, yeah, I was there overnight. This is what happened. This is how I felt. I was scared. I was not scared. At this moment I had to do this. That was the best research, is meeting those guys.
The relationship we have with the on-set military here is just the same as we have with the rest of the cast. It's integral to the film, and their knowledge is not something that we ignore.
There's many things you learn. Like little things like my shoelaces, the Delta boys, the shoelaces, always tucked in. Everything is always tucked in. They don't want you tripping on your ass and falling on the ground. So everything's tucked in. Everything's meticulous. Everything's thought about where everything is, where all the mags go, where your flash bombs go.
We coach them last minute and refresh their memories on how to do things that they've already been trained in.
Okay, go back and do it again. That was a soup sandwich. Down here, I can provide a lot better security for upstairs because I'm covered than I can if I'm out here with a big bullseye on myself.
The look of the actors is superb in terms of replicating what the combat soldier should look like in a combat environment, i.e. their weapons handling techniques. They're doing the things that they are taught day in and day out. They're doing these things instinctively. Those are issues that I'm looking for, and that's what they're all doing. I'm very pleased with the result of the combat action that we're shooting so far.
Everybody straight on that one? It looked good from where I was. Everybody straight? Okay, good.
So you had the verisimilitude that these men bring. You're seeing a movie that is enormously accurate. Not the actual event, because we certainly had to change things, but the movements of the military through the event.
Let's go, Delta!
Everything in this film looks so real because it is. And it's more of a kick for us because the amount of stuff I've gotten to do with these helicopters, I mean, it's the first time in my life I actually stopped and thought, do I have a will? And if so, have I filled it out properly? I mean, I've done scenes where I've taken off out at the helicopter base and 5 minutes later I'm unhooking myself from a safety harness, jumping off a helicopter into this completely realistic situation where there's cars on fire and smoke billowing through and literally 1,000 extras shooting at you, some 50 cals going off. You're jumping out of a real helicopter. You're having to remember to keep your head down so your head doesn't get chopped off. And then you suddenly got to remember that once you hit the ground, that's when the scene really starts.
So when you're doing that, and especially in the earlier stuff, there's maybe 7 cameras, and you don't know where they are. There's cameras in rocks, in the ground. There's cameras in people's backpacks. We don't know where the cameras are. There's 1 or 2 you can see, but you know there's 7 or 8 of them around, which is brilliant. So that means you've got to be on all the time. You know, that's good. There's squibs and explosions going off everywhere, and you don't know where they're going to go off. So you can't be ready to react to them because you don't know where they're going to be. So you just react.
You know, you start the day and you're given a piece of paper, and here's your scene, and it's maybe 2 lines long. You think, okay, you turn up on set. There's a street, there's explosives lined all over it. There's 50 men with guns.
See, I thought this was a musical, so I'm confused by the gunfire constantly.
There goes Twombly. You see that? Yeah, he gets blown up. I begged them to blow me up, and since I've been looking forward to it, and then they blew me up, and it was great. And I feel born again. And anytime that anyone wants to blow me up, like I'll do that again, because that was great. And they set me on fire and blew me up. I wish it had been bigger though. You know, I want more explosion. Hopefully they'll do it today.
The biggest part, I think, was the sheer quantity of it. You know, I've done war movies before where you have like sections of the movie that are war, bullet hits, explosions, and then it dies down. With this movie, it's bullet hits, explosion, helicopter crashes, never stops.
I will say this, you know, I've never worked on a film before that when they yell action on some of these street sequences, and I've been in some exciting stuff, bouncing all over the ocean on the storm, and when they yell action here, boy, your heart goes, because it starts, everything starts blowing up.
Ready, Simon? Yeah. Is this a big bang? No. You sure?
Ridley doesn't stop the explosions for dialogue. I think that the fact that he lets them go. All the M16s are firing, the mortar rounds are going off, the RPGs are going at him, and he says, say your line. So there's complete terror in the actor's eyes.
When Ridley starts blowing up everything around you and shit's pinging off the Humvees, boom, 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 you don't have to act.
You don't have to act at all whatsoever. It's just, I'm really scared.
You can't prepare yourself for that, so there's going to be a lot of real moments on screen.
See that right there? That rocket's going to be going 90 miles an hour. Where? Oh, shit. Boom! And there's another RPG that comes right across fucking right here, dude. And fucking bust your ass. Bust your ass.
There's an entire street, I mean, as far as you can see, prepared to explode, you know, and then 12 vehicles shoot around the corner, there's weapons firing.
And shells, hot shells come down top of your head.
Soldiers running everywhere.
Plant pots are exploding in your face.
Explosions in the ground that blow cork in your face.
4 helicopters shooting about on top of you.
And the firing pellet guns at you.
Anything's possible at any moment. It's very interesting. I mean, we could literally be shelled, which is... My best work is going to be right now.
Jesus Christ! It's complete madness. We're encountering fire from everywhere. Everyone's firing. It's madness, and it's extremely loud.
It's loud. It's very loud.
It is so loud. Have you noticed how loud it is?
Are so loud, and we're actors. We're pussy actors. We're not used to firing big guns, you know. So, for a lot of us, this is something that's completely alien, you know, and new.
I remember the first take I did where there were 50 cals and CAR-15s being fired, and it was just an oral assault. You know, it's literally overwhelming the first time you're exposed to that. And you know, Ridley always has at least 100 militia guys shooting at you at the same time. So it's literally an overload of the senses at first, and then you kind of get used to it, which is even more scary.
Probably the busiest shot, we let off probably 1,200 bullet hits in one take, and then they want to go again. So, you know, 2 takes.
What's really exciting about this is when you're when you're going down the streets, doing the fighting stuff from street to street, it feels like the real deal, you know? And I've done films where the special effects are all done afterwards on computer, and that's all right, but when you're running down these streets, it really feels like you're being shot at.
It's going to be a hell of a lot more realistic than running away from, something fake, running away from a monster on a green screen. So you hear the noise of the gunshots, you hear the RPGs, you see the explosions right next to you. It feels like you're being shot at.
I get shot at a lot by RPGs, these rocket-propelled grenades. My character, Grimes, he narrowly misses about 4 of them, or they narrowly miss him. So I'm doing a lot of stuff with big booms and the walls being sprayed with 50 caliber machine guns and stuff. And it feels like the real thing. You don't have to act that, you're just running around going, fucking hell.
The first time I had to do any of the serious action in this film, Ridley said, yeah, you'll come around the corner with your men, and then all hell will break loose, and find some cover. I said, well, that's it. Yeah, be fine. So I come around trying to look super cool and not blink, and suddenly everything got exploding, and I'm just ducking down behind the nearest thing I could find. And he said, well, that was great. Cut, moving on. And I said, no, I don't think I behaved like a soldier. I think I was a little bit more like me, or like Jerry Lewis on a bad day.
I can't explain it. It's just, it's massive. It's huge, like barrage and orchestrated violence.
I haven't felt panicked or uncomfortable or anything, and this is my first big film, and I think it stems from the fact that Ridley is so relaxed. There isn't a person in the world who would be under so much pressure and look so calm, and I don't know what pills he takes or what kind of yoga he does or what his secret is, but it doesn't make sense to me. I look at him and he's the most relaxed person on the set.
The whole thing seems to be just a pleasurable Sunday afternoon stroll in the park for him.
It might be pandemonium with things going around, with choppers, things blowing up, but he's got an ease about him. Do you know what I mean? That comes through, and I felt completely at ease, completely at home. And you look around and you think, the way everything is set and shot, you can tell when you're walking. It's almost like walking into a painting, because he's got this incredible vision. He knows exactly what's going on.
He's very visual. I mean, with his storyboards, the Ridley-grams, that he draws out, everyone knows what page they're on.
If you come the other side of the morning, you get this light, right? I mean, 10 o'clock. We can do this as a POV long lens tracking shot, right? And we can do it from inside the Humvee or the other side of the Humvee.
Ridley's just got this extraordinary visual gift. He knocks up these little sketches, in 2 seconds. He grabs a pen. I remember the first time I saw one, he came to set and he said, yeah, I've just done these little drawings in the car for you here to show you what's going to happen in the scene. And I went, bloody hell, he just did that in the car. He said, yeah, I didn't have a proper pen or anything, And I went, no, they're brilliant. Can I have one of those to take home?
He had this little stack of papers on his desk, white paper, and any chance he got, he'd go, oh, the scene looks something like this, and then he'd draw it out and he'd draw this amazing storyboard. And he'd say, so, Ken, so the helicopter's here, and the guy's rope in here, and there's Somalis shooting that way, and it looks like this, and I'd go, oh my God.
This is frontman screen, Strucker, driving.
I can't remember working with a director who knew exactly what he needed and wanted. I've never seen him phased by him because he knows exactly what he needs. And I think he shoots the way he's going to edit, which is nice. Sometimes you do films where a director will cover everything all ways, just so because they don't know how they're going to make it look. Whereas Ridley knows how he's going to make it look, and he knows what he needs, so he shoots what he needs to edit. And that's really interesting to watch. And also, he's absolutely precise and dead on with his direction. I've heard he has a reputation of not directing, and I don't get that at all. If you're in a big wide shot running down the street, you don't need to be told you're in a big wide shot, just run down the street, So he doesn't tell you that. You know where you're going to go, but when you're playing a scene, when the camera's in close, he's there telling you what you like, or he's pushing you one way or the other,
But just watching someone who seems to make it so effortless, and he seems so unpressured by what's clearly, an enormous project, it's intimidating.
I don't think it quite hit me how big everything was going to be until about, I think it was 4 weeks ago, 5, 6 weeks ago, when the helicopters actually turned up.
They arrived in 2 big freighters. So you got 4 big Black Hawks, and then the mini birds, of course, are little demons, these little beautiful little blackbirds. But they managed to get those on 2 big freighters, military freighters, that came and landed in just outside of Rabat.
The American government is the only ones that really has these helicopters. So we had to either make a deal with the government or do it digitally, and we felt it was much more important for the reality of the movie to do it with the real helicopters.
If I had to rent helicopters, I couldn't rent Black Hawks. And of course, it's called Black Hawk Down. It's about the Black Hawk. And I would have had to rent Hueys, and Hueys don't look like Black Hawks. And so we went right to the wire in terms of negotiation with the Pentagon about their requirements as to how they wanted to be perceived during the film. But that negotiation took a long time. So I was already in Saleh, already planning, and now in the process of having to turn my schedule around, because I'd planned to do the big insertion up front with the Black Hawks to get the big thing out the way. And I couldn't because they didn't have the aircraft. And so I had to adjust the schedule, and we just began the film, knowing I had 6 Hueys standing in Germany ready with the black spray cans ready to spray them. And I was a month into principal photography before I got the helicopters. So it was a little hairy.
I've never seen machines quite as majestic as the Black Hawks, and it's like ballet watching them take off and land, and they're so precise.
I can still remember the day when I was called on set and they said to me, right, you got to stand there, the little birds are going to take off in front of the Black Hawks. And I just stood there and I was like, my God, this is just unbelievable, staggering, you know, and you have a little giggle inside to yourself thinking this movie is going to be huge.
I was laying on the ground and, I mean, like they had a Black Hawk hover like to within about, it felt like 10 feet in the ground, and I was just the downforce and this, everything, the sand blasted up, crushing us, and Eversman's over me and kind of dealing with me, screaming at me. It's like, it's just insanity. I mean, it's like, and it's so much fun. You're like, this is what you do as a kid, man. We're running around with toy guns, and this is real.
For me, it was like, it's like boys with toys on this movie. I'm like a 7-year-old in a grown-up's body, you know, because we've got helicopters, we've got guns.
We've got unlimited amounts of bullets. You're just tearing everything up. And until, I think people are still firing their weapons after this is cut for ages.
You know, there's another level that maybe some of the other actors, I don't know how much the other actors will admit to this. It's a very serious film in the sense that, you know, we have a sense of responsibility to the people who died and the people who lived, that we've met. But there's a level on which none of us can quite believe that we're getting to run around firing guns and ducking bullets and jumping under things exploding. And what makes it all right, you know, that we're just kids in the playground, is that the soldiers, the real soldiers, say there's a level at which they enjoy it in exactly the same way.
It's a huge rush. I mean, it's like I said, it's like a great game. You know, it's like there's certain things in life that you want to be able to do without having the bad experiences attached to them. And this is one of them, you know. I get to run around with guns and, you know, things blowing up around you, but I don't actually have to kill anybody and nobody's going to kill me, and that's great.